Everyone called him mad. Even his parents disowned him for marrying her. But what no one expected was how it all ended. When Sefu walked into the village square holding her hand, the crowd froze. Some laughed, others gasped. "He must be cursed," they whispered. "How can such a handsome man marry that?" But Sefu didn't blink. He didn't look away. He chose her, not for her face, but for her heart. In the dusty hills of Katugo, a humble carpenter named Sifu walked a lonely footpath, looking for strong wood. He whistled softly, the sun hot on his back. But that day, the birds were quiet. The wind carried something else, a muffled cry. Behind the thick roots of a big tree, he saw her. She sat with a tattered scarf hiding most of her face. Her hands were covered in raised lumps, and her knuckles were swollen like boiled maize. Her neck was blistered, raw in some places, scabbed in others. The smell of herbs and rot mixed in the air. When she saw Sefu, she turned to run, but he only said, "Why are you crying, sister?" She shook her head. "You'll run if you see me. They all do." When she uncovered her face, Sefu did not move. Her cheeks were layered with huge, pus-filled pimples. Her lips were cracked and swollen. Her left eye slightly drooped. The villagers called her Nyoka, snake woman. But Sefu only saw her eyes, deep, quiet, holding something rare. He reached into his bag. "Eat. You look hungry." She looked up, stunned. Her name was Nali. Nali was different. A childhood illness had left one side of her face scarred and partially paralyzed. Her gait was slightly uneven. Children whispered, women pitied, men stared and turned away. Nali was used to living in the shadows, doing small jobs and avoiding mirrors. But when Sefu met her resting under that big tree one afternoon, he saw something deeper. He noticed how gently she spoke to a crying child, how her eyes lit up when she laughed, how she never rushed, never complained. They began to talk, first short greetings, then longer conversations. Nali was hesitant at first, unsure why this handsome man would bother with her. But Sefu pursued her gently. He would come back to the same tree daily and bring her papayas from his garden. He started seating near her during community meetings when everyone avoided her and also asked about her dreams. One day, after walking her home and watching the sunset paint her eyes golden, Sefu stopped exactly under the same tree they met all the time. "I want to marry you, Nali." She laughed nervously. "Don't joke like that. I've never been more serious." Nali stared at the box in Sefu's hand like it was on fire. She backed away quickly, her scarred fingers trembling. "No," she whispered. "I can't. You don't understand." "I do," Sefu replied gently. She shook her head violently. "You don't! I've seen women prettier than me left by men like you. What will you do when you wake up one morning and regret me? When the whole world mocks us and you're too tired to defend me?" Her voice cracked, her chest heaving. "Sefu, I have no beauty. My face, it makes babies cry. People say my skin carries curses." Sefu moved closer and cupped her blistered hand in his rough, calloused palm. "I am not marrying your skin, Nali. I'm marrying the woman who listens when I talk, who knows the names of every bird in this forest, who still smiles after the world spat on her." She began to cry. Not quiet tears, but loud, broken sobs that echoed into the trees. Then he did the unthinkable. He took off his shirt, wrapped it around her shoulders, and stood in front of the whole path as the villagers watched. "I choose her," he shouted. "Let the world laugh." And they did. But Nali said yes. Their romance bloomed quietly but deeply, and Sefu came to know her heart like a sacred text, full of resilience, hidden beauty, and tender wisdom. They would sit under the old big tree, telling stories, their laughter weaving through the leaves. He would hold her hand, stroke her cheek without flinching at the scars, and call her beautiful until she believed it. They prayed together. They dreamed. They planned. But the village didn't stay silent. "What is wrong with Sefu?" people whispered. "He could have had any woman. Why her? She must have bewitched him." His friends stopped inviting him to gatherings. Mothers pulled their daughters away when he passed. At the market, women openly mocked Nali, calling her names, giggling behind her back. Some even spat near her feet. Sefu's parents, respected elders, refused to bless the union. "She will bring shame to our family," his mother hissed. "She's cursed," said his father. "Her face will scare your children." But Sefu stood firm. "I love her. I see her heart, not her scars. If you can't bless my marriage, I'll bless it myself." His mother dropped her cooking spoon. "A woman with that face?" His father spat. "You want to marry a cursed one? People will say we are under witchcraft." Sefu stood tall. "I have never known peace like I have with Nali. I choose her." That night, whispers flew through Katugo. Children sang mocking songs. "Sefu wants a monster wife. Sefu likes the snake face." Even friends crossed the road when they saw him. The day of the wedding came like a storm cloud over Katugo. Nali wore a second-hand white dress that hung loosely on her thin frame. Her hands shook as she held the wildflowers he had picked for her, blooms more beautiful than she ever believed she'd deserve. But the village stood still. Not a drumbeat, not a cheer, just stares and whispers. "Is this a joke? Sefu has truly lost it. They're marrying a sickness." No one from Sefu's family came. His mother locked herself inside, weeping with shame. His father sat outside the bar, drinking, pretending he had no son. Even the preacher hesitated until Baba Juma, the blind elder, stepped forward. "I will marry them," he said, "for love that sees the soul is the only true sight." So they spoke their vows, voices shaking. But when she saw Sefu's eyes, so steady, so proud, she smiled. He made his vows before God and the few witnesses with a strength that silenced even the wind. "I choose you, Nali. Every scar, every smile, every shadow. You are my treasure." Nali's eyes welled with tears. "And I choose you, Sefu. You are the first to see me, truly, see me." A breeze passed as if the earth itself paused to listen. Nali's veil flew back for a moment, revealing her face. Gasps, murmurs, laughter. Children pointed, but Sefu smiled and kissed her, gently, like she was made of glass. They walked home hand in hand, heads high, while people laughed behind them. But laughter can't break a home built on love. The couple sat under the mango tree, a few weeks after their wedding, laughing like old friends. But behind every laugh, Nali hid fear. No one had ever looked at her without disgust. She wasn't used to kindness. Her skin itched from infections. Her hands were thick with hardened bumps, and her fingers curved awkwardly from years of rejection. Her neck had black scars from herbal burns, a cruel attempt by relatives to burn the evil out. Still, Sefu stayed. Life didn't get easier. It got worse. Sefu and Nali had moved to the edge of the village, into a crumbling mud hut that once stored grain. The roof leaked. The floor was cold. At night, the wind howled like spirits mourning. Sefu returned to his carpentry, but no one gave him work. Villagers refused to sit on furniture built by the man with the cursed wife. Shopkeepers whispered, then turned their backs. Even old clients avoided his eyes. When he tried to sell stools at the market, people scattered. One woman screamed, "Don't bring your witch to the village!" Nali heard every word. She started going out only at night, like a shadow, collecting firewood and herbs. Her fingers bled from cutting through thorns. Her feet cracked from the heat of the ground. They sometimes went to sleep hungry. But in that tiny house, they laughed. He built her a small wooden comb. She cooked his favorite dish, dried cassava with ground nut paste, even when all they had was salt and water. They danced when it rained, and Sefu would whisper in her ear, "If love could feed us, we'd be kings." But even love needs a miracle. One morning, Nali couldn't rise from bed. Her skin burned with fever. Her breathing was shallow. Her hands trembled like dry leaves in the wind. Sefu panicked. He ran barefoot from hut to hut, begging for help. "She's dying!" People shut their doors. "She brought this on herself," one said. Another spat. "Maybe the demons are finally collecting her." No one came. He returned home, heart thudding like war drums. Nali lay still, sweat soaking her dress. Her face, usually blotchy and raw, looked worse. New blisters had formed, leaking fluid. Her lips were cracked open. Her neck was red like fire. Sefu knelt beside her. "Don't leave me," he whispered. All night, he bathed her with cold water, fed her drops of boiled herbs, and prayed. He never slept, never left her side. His hands never stopped holding hers. Then, just before dawn, she stirred, and something changed. The fever broke. Over the next days, her swelling reduced. The pimples began to dry up. The angry red patches faded. Each morning, her skin looked clearer, softer. She looked in the mirror and gasped. "Is this real?" Sifu touched her cheek, eyes wide. "You're healing. But how? And why, after all this time?" By the second week, the change in Nali was impossible to ignore. Then Sifu had a dream. That night, a voice told him to take Nali to the river that night and ask her to wash completely. And man, a few minutes what he saw took his breath away. The boils on her hands flattened. The lumps on her fingers faded. The dark, leathery skin on her neck turned smooth. Even the drooping on her left eye lifted. He walked towards her, gave her a mirror without saying a word. Sefu stood behind her, holding her waist. "You were always beautiful. The world is only now catching up." But outside, the village buzzed like angry bees. "Have you seen her?" "It's witchcraft. It must be." "No one heals like that without a price." Crowds began gathering near their hut, some to stare, others to throw words sharper than stones. Sefu refused to hide her. He took Nali's hand and walked with her through the village square. Heads turned. Gasps filled the air. Children who once ran away stood still. "Is that her?" She looks like someone else. She is so beautiful," they exclaimed. Traders whispered of a disfigured woman who was now radiant. Her face, once feared, now drew stares of wonder. Her skin glowed like polished shea butter. Her neck, once scabbed and swollen, now long and smooth. And that's when Chief Baraka arrived. He was a rich landowner from a neighboring village, known for his cattle, his charm, and his taste for collecting wives. He came riding a white horse, surrounded by guards, gold chains hanging from his neck. He stepped off, looked Nali over slowly, and smirked. "I heard of your story, beautiful one," he said. "But a rose should not live in the mud. Leave this carpenter. I'll make you my fourth wife. You'll have silk, silver, a life of ease. As for you, carpenter, I will give you 500,000 rands, and you will be set for life. If you let your wife become mine forever." Sefu's jaw clenched. He stepped forward. "She is my wife, and not up for sale," Baraka laughed. Your time is up, carpenter. Beauty changes things, and money talks. Villagers murmured, some whispered. She'd be foolish to stay with Sefu now. Even Nali looked shaken. That night, Sefu sat alone outside, staring at the stars. Would love be enough? Now that the world finally saw what he had always seen? Would Nali choose comfort or loyalty? At dawn, she would decide. Nali stood by the doorway, staring at the wrapped silk and golden bangles Chief Baraka had left behind. She touched her face, still amazed at the smoothness of her skin. Her beauty had become a kind of weapon, one that could slice her heart in two. That night, she sat beside Sefu, but the silence between them was heavy. I don't know what to do, she whispered. Sefu turned his face away. You do. You just don't want to say it.